for Home Inspections.
Hi, Christy Rucola. Happy you're here.
Very nice meeting you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through like a quick home inspection on the garage portion of a normal home inspection. So let's go ahead and go in here first. What we'll do is when we're doing a home inspection and there's a lot of things in the garage, we'll take a macro picture. That macro picture will let the future buyer know that there's some things that we can't evaluate, but what we can evaluate, we'll go ahead and go through and do. So first thing we'll do, Christy, is this is a firewall. It's a 1 hour firewall. This is a 1 hour fire door. I'll open it at 45 degrees, and if it doesn't self-latch, and it's not self-latching, it's a fire safety issue.
Okay.
Because fumes from cars, the fire break in the wall here would actually allow the house to be inundated with smoke and fire. So what you need to do is, you see this hinge right here?
Mm-hmm.
This is a tension hinge. You're going to
Okay.
have to take that tension hinge, tighten up so that when you open it at 45 degrees, it's going to self-latch. So that's a fire safety issue.
Okay.
That would be addressed.
So that's very important.
Yeah,
Okay,
so if
thank
you're
you.
the seller of a home, that's one of the things when we're doing our home inspection, we highly recommend that health and safety in section 1 and section 2, which are water-based issues on houses, are addressed. So this would be one of the things that you would address.
Okay, I will handle that.
Secondly, firewall. See these little breaks in the sheetrock right here?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you've got to have 1 hour fire resistance, so you can't put holes in the wall. So what we'd additionally recommend is to patch these little holes with like some sheetrock mud or something like that, because again, those can allow fire to get into the house.
Okay.
So this is a third portion. This is a
Storage area.
It's a storage area,
Uh-huh.
and if we look up in the attic, it's good that you've got what's called a fire break up there, but it's not sheetrock. So you see that wood up there?
Uh-huh.
So that's
On the
called,
top?
Yeah, no, on the wall up here, it's called OSB,
Okay.
but it's not sheetrock. So what happens is this piece of wood right here, if you had a fire start in the garage,
Uh-huh.
it's going to go through that wood like in a couple minutes. It's going to climb into that attic space, and then it's going to go into the house. So that's another fire safety issue. So you've got to put a piece of metal or a 3/4 inch piece of sheetrock over that. So we've got one fire safety issue, another fire safety issue, and this would be a third one. And those are all safety issues that you definitely want to address as part of the home
Absolutely.
inspection report.
Okay, that's scary.
Well, you know what? This is normal. I mean, pretty
Okay.
much every house I inspect, you'll see the same type of thing. So,
Okay.
what you want to do is, they're pretty cheap. This is about a 15-minute job by a handyman. This is about a 2-minute adjustment. And this is just some drywall mud, so it's actually pretty easy and quick to check out. So come
Okay.
on inside of here,
Perfect.
Lisa. The next thing we'll look at is okay, so for the garage door,
Uh-huh.
there's two fail safes on an overhead garage door. You have what's called a tensioner. As the garage is going down at about 10 psi, when it hits something, it should retract. The secondary fail safe are infrared sensors. So those sensors, when they detect something breaking the plane of the light, what that will do is it'll trip it, so you
Okay.
don't crush a pet or a child. So what we do as part of our home inspection is we'll go ahead and we'll hit the garage door.
Okay.
We'll stand over here. We'll put about 10 pounds of pressure so it's not going up, and then I try to trip it right there. So the sensors are working. That's the first fail safe. The tensioner on the overhead motor is not working. And if you come over here, come up in here, you see these little adjustment pieces?
Mm-hmm.
Those are called tensioner adjustments. These little dials right here, one's clockwise, the other's counterclockwise. What you want to do is hold your hand out for me, your arm like this, hold tension. At about that amount of pressure, it's about 10 psi as the garage is coming down. When it hits that amount of pressure, it should retract,
Okay.
just in case the sensors fail. And so what you do is you take the tensioner, there's an up arrow and a down arrow. You take the down arrow to decrease the tension, you turn it about a half a turn, and then you test the garage. You just keep going back and forth until it's about 10 psi.
Okay.
Third thing, we have electrical outlets in the garage. They have to be what are called ground fault circuit interrupts. You know the little red and black buttons you'll see sometimes in your bathrooms or kitchens? So those have to be ground faulted. And what we need to do is find one. Let's see, where is an electrical outlet? Okay, so right over here.
You got one?
Yeah, so if I can get over there
Sorry.
again. This is normal. This
Okay,
is
sorry.
absolutely normal.
I didn't clean for the inspection, I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay, no one does. Usually it's
Okay.
just the way we do it. They're all like this.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we'll come over here. So the double orange means you got good power coming out of there. So I'm going to push this button. You hear that?
Yep.
So basically what we did is we tripped the circuit. That means you've got a GFI, a ground fault circuit interrupt. So that's good. Now what we've got to do is we've got to try to find the reset for that. Okay? Because what we've done is we've tripped the power on this block of the house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to try to walk around here. I've got to find the electrical outlet reset. On the GFI reset, this is one of the most difficult parts about home inspections is when we're doing our inspection, we go through and we're checking for stuff. And sometimes when there's a lot of stuff in a house and we can't see behind walls, it makes it tough when they don't have like GFIs in the rooms that we're inspecting. Like the kitchen's supposed to have one, the master bathroom, the other two bathrooms are supposed to be tied together. For your particular house, the garage and the outside of the house are all tied to the bathrooms. And so
That's
the one thing
weird.
that's really important,
Yeah.
which you should never do, you should never tie your refrigerator to a GFI.
Is our refrigerator
Yes, it
tied
is.
to it? Okay.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If you have a ground fault circuit set up with your refrigerator, say you went away on a vacation and it tripped on accident, you come back and you reset it, but you didn't know that it was off here. You got 5 or 6 days of spoiled food. It's going to refreeze and you can get sick and you can get food poisoning from that. So where is there one? There's usually like a single outlet somewhere in a garage, and what it'll say non-GFI. It's a single outlet. It's either for a sprinkler system or for a refrigerator.
Maybe the sprinkler system over there.
That's it. Yeah. See right there.
Okay.
See where it says sprinkler? It's got a single outlet, and you can usually only plug one thing into it. So you need to put one in for your refrigerator because you don't want to go away on vacation, come back, and again
have the whole
accidentally
thing
reset.
done.
Yeah. So that's one of the things we do in our inspections. If we see that a refrigerator or a refrigerator on the inside of the house is connected to a GFI, we call it out and we say, do not do this because again, you can go away and come back.
Wow, there's so many
I know,
little things.
I know.
This is just the garage.
I know, well, it's just normal. Okay, so let's see a couple other things we do up here. You see the sheetrock is pulled apart.
Yeah.
California code says that anything that's 8 feet or lower, where there's exposed wire, and that's exposed Romex, that yellow and a couple of the other little wires in there, it's got to be sheathed in conduit, or it's got to be behind sheetrock. So what you need to do with that is put the sheetrock back over the top.
Okay.
That's a safety issue. It's an electrical safety issue. Those wires come out pretty easily. So what you want to do is, again, put some sheetrock over it, or conduit is just like a metal covering. Like it looks sort of like, see this corrugated piping up here? If that were like a silver pipe, that's what you seal conduit in, and that just protects you from getting electrocuted. Okay? Let's see what else. So we check GFIs, we check garage tensioner, we check fire doors, tension here.
The water heater?
Water heater, yeah, let's do the water heater next. Okay, so the water heater. Code, I'm just going to tell you what code states that you have to do for a water heater.
Okay.
In a garage, now you have vents somewhere, right? So vents, basically, you'll see they're probably hidden on that wall over there.
Okay.
They're no higher than 12 inches off the deck. This right here is 18 inches off the deck. What happens is people will bring in gas cans for lawnmowers, you know, different things like that, and that gas ponds down low. If it doesn't have the opportunity to vent out one of those vents 12 inches, there's a burner motor in here. When you spark it, it can actually blow up.
Oh, lovely.
So yeah, so you want to keep those vents clear. The garage, the deck for the water heater has to be 18 inches up off the ground. So there's that differential so the air will vent out before it gets up there. When we're doing inspections on water heaters, it's got to have a base like this, but only if it's a gas burning unit. If it's electric, it can be directly on the ground as long as it's got an insulated pad. That's the first and most important thing. Second thing, it's got to have a pole protector. This pole protector, if you've ever driven a clutch with a car and you pop the clutch on accident, you can hit this. You don't want to hit this and knock the gas out of whack and have a gas leak and possibly an explosion. Third thing, it's supposed to have what's called a catch pan. What a catch pan does is it eliminates this kind of stuff. The catch pan, basically, if you get any leaks, corrosion or anything like that, it'll catch it, it'll let the water evaporate before it overflows, and it's just a really good thing to have, and it is a code issue on new water heaters.
Okay. So just go to Home Depot and say, I need a catch pan.
Yeah, you know what? Because of the unit and because it's new, it's only 4 years old. They usually last like 15 years. I would probably say that you don't really need it right now. But if you were to put a new one in, the catch pan, the expansion tank, the strapping, all that stuff has to be part of the installation because it is a permitted process now. The third thing, and probably the most important thing out of everything else, are seismic straps. So these straps right here, on water heaters that are 75 gallons or less, require 2 straps, 1/3 down, 1/3 up. They got to be double wrapped around, and then they got to be tacked to a wall stud. Okay.
So this isn't double strapped, one here and one here?
Yeah,
I have 2 here and 2 here?
It's a double wrapped.
Oh,
so
double
this
wrapped.
This same strap right here has to be fully around the water heater.
Okay.
So it's called substandard. Appraisers will usually say, hey, you fix that or we're not going to pass the appraisal. Some do, some don't. It depends on who the appraiser is, but it is a substandard issue. Like I was telling you before, I can push the water heater this away, probably about 6 inches. And what that does is the water heater's not going to fall in a seismic event, but what it will do is it'll pop the water lines up here. And if it pops the water lines, it's going to flood the garage, okay? Another really important issue, and it is a safety issue if it's not installed properly, this is called a temperature pressure relief valve right here. It basically, when this thing gets too much pressure, it'll vent it, it'll drop it through the wall, through the copper piping and outside of the house. It has to be routed down at all times, okay? And so that's a good setup, it's got good insulation on it. Additionally, you have to have what's called a dual V vent. See this vent right up here? It's a dual V vent. It's a gas line vent. And then it's got to be capped at the roof, and it's got to have at least 1 inch of clearance between it and combustibles. All right,
And does it have that?
It does have that,
Okay.
yeah. So the water heater is actually in good condition, like we were talking about before. You see these stains?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like you'd said, that's from a previous
The
water
previous
heater.
one, because that's semi-new.
Yeah. So I really wouldn't worry much about this other than getting it strapped. The catch pan I really wouldn't worry about. This, by the way, is called a drip leg. It is a requirement. What it does, as gas is coming in, it'll collect debris before debris goes into the burner motor. What you can do over, I'd say every 2 to 3 years, you turn the gas off, pop this off, and you'll have water and debris in there. You just like let it vent out and you put it back on. And what that
Okay.
does is it keeps the motor from going bad prematurely. It's a nice water heater. I just have the straps fixed. Do you have any questions about anything that we've gone over?
No, but that was a wealth of information.
Cool,
I had
cool.
no idea on any of that, so
Okay, well that's good.
very much appreciate your time.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
it's you'll have when I do an inspection, I take digital pictures, I make recommendations what to do with those pictures, and then I make a recommendation on who to do the repairs. I can't do repairs myself for 1 year. Ashley doesn't let us do that. It's ethics. But overall, yeah, the garage is in good condition. When you see a garage like this, there's really not a lot wrong with it, but the things that are wrong, you probably had no idea about.
Right.
And you can ask Lisa what we run into our inspections. People go, well, I didn't know, and this was granted in. No, safety's never granted in. You always have to have safe issues in your house, whether it's 50 years old or 5 years old. So that's why you hire a home inspector. We come out, we're
You
not trying to.
Chris.
Yeah, well, you can hire me, or most home inspectors are pretty good. We kind of go through the same schooling stuff, but we're not telling you your baby's ugly. We're just telling your baby needs a diaper change in some ways. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. Happy to be safe. So
Yeah,
thank
definitely.
You very
So
much.
yeah, great house, and thank you for letting us.
Thank you, Chris.
run it.
Appreciate
Definitely.
it.
Nice to meet you, Christy. All right, cool.
How'd we do?